Hi, good to see us. Welcome back. Happy Sunday. Good to have you here. So, my brother, my sister that is out there that is feeling exhausted with spiritual warfare, attacks right, left, and center, believing God for something that doesn't feel like, it's coming to pass or it's taken a very long time. I just want to remind you that part of it is because obviously we fight an enemy that is relentless, that is constantly coming, constantly. Is no someone that catches feelings. Like, as human beings today, if you wrong me, if you do me real that, tomorrow I'll know better to stay away from you. But it's not the same with the enemy. He will come. If he defeats you here, he wait for you, in another place. He's constantly coming. You see, you defeat him in one area, he waits for you at another. So when you're constantly feeling like you're fighting, you're constantly praying, let that situation sharpen you. Because the only way we can do with the kind of situations we find ourselves in is by sharpening ourselves and, believing God to make us, to build those giants in us that yes, he's coming, but you're also ready. Fire for fire, power past power. Because if you never grow up to become, to get to that level where you can, stand in the day of battle, he will have you for lunch, supper, and breakfast. He will constantly be bringing his issues to your doorstep. But you grow, some muscle as well, that when he comes, you're also ready in the Lord. Because as for the attacks, for the things that we don't want to see, they will always be something that is a bit of a challenge. And I want to just remind someone here that just because you've achieved greatly in the area of academics, maybe you've got a beautiful marriage, maybe you're financially secure, let me tell you something. Regardless of what level of success that you've achieved, whether it's a very successful ministry, for the enemy to destroy it, to scatter all those things to pieces, it does not take him a minute. That's why I think we have to get to a level where we never really grow so prideful that God has given me this, so I'm this. Because let me tell you, the kind of enemy that is constantly pursue, he does not care about your education. He's not intimidated about the beautiful marriage that you have, the finances, regardless of what it is. He doesn't see those things. He may see them, but they don't register in a way that is intimidating to say, oh, do you know what? Since she's this educated, she's this successful, she's this, she's that, I'm not going to pursue. No, he will pursue. Because that has got nothing, absolutely nothing to do with him. The story that makes me laugh is the story of the Egyptians, the children of Israel trying to leave Egypt. And actually Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to me is almost like a perfect example of Satan and his dealings, right? This guy is told about the Almighty God. 1 minute he's saying, oh, I'll let your people, God's people go. Let them go and serve God. The next minute he's saying, okay, I've changed my mind. Let them go, the men go and serve their God, but I'll keep the children and the women. Or I'll let them go, but then I'll keep something, that belongs to you. Until Moses is like, no. We all go. You have to release. He releases them and then changes his mind. He's like, I'm still pursuing. Can somebody tell me why this guy pursued up until the dividing of the Red Sea that is right there? He's seen a miracle that he's never heard of before. The water dividing, this guy is passing through on dry land. Which person in their right mind would want to pursue a people like that when you've seen a mighty God that has done something like that? But you're seeing that miracle right before your eyes, and yet he said, no, I don't care how great this God is, I'll still pursue. Up until the guy is destroyed with this entire army. So that's why I'm saying that, look, regardless of how challenging the situation is, embrace it so you can grow some muscle. It's not nice. Nobody wants to go through challenges, but as long as those challenges are pushing you further towards God, that dark situation that you're finding yourself in that is so challenging, that is almost draining blood from you, that is almost leaving you for dead, as difficult as it is to endure, let that darkness push you further towards your maker. Let it strengthen your relationship with God. Let it build a new testimony, a new level of you knowing God in a way that otherwise you would have been able to know about him in comfort. Another example, the man of God, David. David, even as he was anointed as king, as we all know that it took so many years of this man fighting for his life, fighting to remain alive, never mind, the throne. He fought and fought and fought, like Saul pursued, to the point that if God did not decide and say, okay, no, I'm going to kill this man, I'm going to take him out of the way, the guy was pursuing. But it did not end there for David, as we all know, that even after Saul's death, just as the guy can rejoice and say, yay, my enemy has been removed, I can now take the throne in peace. No, another battle arose. One of his commanders, is it Abner or whatever his name is, rose up against David again and, gathered a number of, people into one army, and then tried to declare one of Saul's sons as king, right? To the point that some of the tribes in the north that were gathered to support him, to support that agenda, that became another issue again for David. So much blood was shed. But God finally brought it to an end, because the people, the tribe of Judah, they stood with David. They were like, oh no, we choose David. They fought with David. Eventually, the entire Israel came up on their own and said, okay, do you know what? The tribes surrendered and said, no, we want David as our king. So the plan of God to reunite the kingdom came, together for the very first time under David. You see that he was able to unite all the different tribes of Israel and formed that kingdom in its own as it is. But even with that, we can see the plan of the enemy that under David's rule, obviously that remained in place, and it's like a dream come true. But it didn't last long, because as soon as David died, his son Solomon came, and because of all the foolishness and all his disobedience, despite being a man that could have been greatly used by God, by the end of his time in office, God had already pronounced a curse because of what he had done. Like, look, I'm not going to take the kingdom completely out of it because of my covenant with my son, my servant David, but I'm going to divide it. That we see the division that his father, fought and, united everybody. The kingdoms were split again. And that remained the case up until Jesus' day, that they were still asking him, oh, are you restoring the kingdom? Because things deteriorated. And I don't want to bore you with the entire story, but if you read through, the story, the Bible story about the journey of the children of Israel, you will see how far this entire thing went. It kept deteriorating all the way to the coming of Jesus Christ. But what I'm saying today is this. I don't want to keep this very long. Keep in the battle. Keep fighting for your blessing. Keep letting that darkness draw you closer to God. Like that story in the Bible, in the book of Exodus, where the mountain will be filled with darkness, will be shaking, that people are running away. Like nobody wanted to go near the Mount Sinai, right? Because of the activities there, the fierceness of the presence of God. People were running because they were finding it so dark. But yet Moses was drawn to it. He's almost the only person that was drawn to something that everybody else, considered so dark, like I can't go anywhere near it. So I pray that darkness that you're going through will open up another way for you to know God, for you to encounter him, for you to know that when you are in comfort, it's very difficult to grow. Some of the prayers that you're praying right now in your worst trying times, you wouldn't you've never been able to, pray them if life was so comfortable for you. But even when you're comfortable, we should always, again, still strive, to improve our prayer life, to get closer to God, because at the end of the day, sometimes when we are being tried and things are so difficult, it's the prayers that we prayed in comfort that come to hold us up at that point where you can no longer pray. You see your mouth open, but nothing can come up because it's so dark, it's so bad. I pray the Lord will strengthen you. I pray the Lord will strengthen you. I pray you find strength, to believe, to keep standing. It's not the time to start to want to draw back, into the world, into, giving up on, things that, you've believed God for a very long time. Just keep pushing. And the day of deliverance, the day of breakthrough will come. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.